score early 2-on-1s, 5-on-5, get to your space. We'll see the 2-on-1s much easier. Great job defensively executing the game plan. We controlled the game with our defense.
If you listen carefully to Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla, it's easy to see that he's a guy that studies the game of basketball deeply. And it's precisely because of his deep level of understanding of how the Dallas Mavericks offense works that he's propelled his team to a commanding 2-0 lead in the NBA Finals. What he has his defense doing so far has held the Mavs to an offensive rating that is an order of magnitude lower than any other part of their season. The Celtics defense has been so effective, it puts every other team Dallas has played in the playoffs to shame. It started in Game 1 with the Celtics putting Jason Tatum on Daniel Gafford, the Mavs starting center, and Dallas instantly went down low to take advantage, which drew help from Al Horford, and they get a good look from 3 for Derrick Jones Jr. If you missed it, the key to the whole defensive scheme by Mazzulla is putting Horford on a guard. Strangely, the next time down, they begin to run the same play. Luka doesn't want to feed the post though, so it breaks down into a stagnant ISO that again works out for the Mavericks as Luka is able to muscle into the lane and get a little 15-footer to fall over Jaylen Brown. For reasons unknown, they put Horford on the more traditional matchup with Gafford. The Mavericks immediately put him in the pick and roll to force a switch, and it goes downhill from there. And this is exactly why they came up with their defensive game plan in the first place. Luka can shoot whatever shot he likes, knowing there's a big mismatch down low as Brown can't keep Gafford off the glass. But they remember the game plan pretty quickly, get Horford on Derrick Jones Jr. again, which lures the Mavs into running the pick and roll with Jones instead of Gafford. Kyrie takes the same shot as Luka, but he doesn't have the luxury of being 6'8", and Horford knocks the shot out of the air. And this was the possession Mazzulla knew his defensive alignment would work. Because Jones Jr. is called to set the ball screen to get Horford involved, it buries Kyrie in the weak side corner where Jones should be, and puts Gafford in the weak side dunker spot, allowing Tatum to be in good position to rotate while White can split the difference off the corner. This lack of spacing induces a bad three-point shot from Luka, and the Celtics get the stop. By inverting one matchup, the Celtics prevent the very real threat of the roll from Gafford, and more importantly, change the spot-up location of Derrick Jones Jr. You see, when the Mavericks offense is running properly, they generate a lot of good corner threes as both Luka and Kyrie can penetrate into the teeth of the defense and kick out to their favorite targets in Jones Jr. and PJ Washington. One glance at the number of three-point attempts across each playoff series for them, and you can see a precipitous drop so far in the finals, and it's a leading indicator as to why their offensive rating has plummeted. I expected the Mavericks to be prepared for this in Game 2, and their adjustment was to force a switch and attack Derrick White with Luka. In an ominous sign of what was to come from the refs, Luka completely travels on the first play of the game, and the refs just miss it. He establishes his left foot as the pivot, then lifts it off the floor and puts it back down before shooting it, violating the rules, but the bucket counted. And Mazzulla knew the Mavericks couldn't resist attacking Horford in the pick and roll with Luka and Kyrie, meaning they'd continue to send Jones Jr. up to set the screen, which tilted their offensive spacing out of whack, as you've got Gafford in the dunker spot, Luka at the break, Washington too close in the left wing, and they're more than willing to give up this contested three above the break, considering how awful Washington has been shooting from there in the playoffs. This pistol action is supposed to happen much quicker, but Jones Jr. is probably not used to playing the center position on offense. But check what this does to the spacing. Gafford is now along the baseline in no man's land, way too close to Washington in the corner, allowing the defense to essentially zone up in support of Horford, who switched on to Luka. More evidence that Jones isn't comfortable as the ball screener. What is this roll to the basket? I have no idea. And oh, there's Kyrie buried in the corner again, no longer an outlet to create something from the wing. This all leads to Luka taking a very tough contested midi, and then he doesn't get back like he's supposed to, leading to the easy run out and dunk by Al. I thought it was really interesting that Jason Kidd called Jaylen Brown the best player on the Celtics, but I don't think he's lying based on how he's been playing on both ends of the floor. If you study my videos, you'll get more insights into predicting how well each of these players will do the rest of the finals, and you can win money with those picks by playing Sleeper, the ultimate fantasy sports app. What's cool is that you can set your over-under picks before the game or do it live while it's happening. Just pick at least 2 players and whether they'll get more or less from a host of different stats, and you can win up to 100 times your money. So here are my picks for Game 3. I don't think that Kyrie Irving is going to shake off his doldrums just quite yet, but I do think Derek White is going to go off and get some serious points. And then Daniel Gafford should get some more minutes, and so I suspect he'll get some more rebounds. With a very small entry amount, you can win some money. It's really fun to play, so get in there. And if you use my code BBALL100, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $500. There are so many ways to win. It raises the stakes when you watch it, so what are you waiting for? Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. The Celtics played this the same way with Kristaps Porzingis. There he is guarding Jones Jr. in the corner, so the Mavericks bring him up into the step-up screen action. In a rarity, Luka even draws a double team, but instead of having Jones Jr. spotting up in the corner, as the ball screener, he's stuck on the wing. And instead of a quick swing to Kyrie in the left corner for potential open 3, the Celtics know he's been terrible on above the break 3s and just let him shoot it. Again, the problem with having Jones Jr. set all these ball screens in an effort to force Horford to defend in space is that Gafford has to hang out in the dunker spot, which effectively eliminates the possibility of skipping to the corner, and it again leaves Jones popping from 3 in the one spot he's not shooting well in. And it also helps you've got one of the best defenders in the league hounding Kyrie into a deflection, so the offense is just not functioning well despite getting the ball back on this dubious foul call, battling for the loose ball. The more pressure that mounts for Kyrie to play better, the more focused he gets on scoring and not passing. Here's a great example with KP on Jones Jr. in the corner, but they bring Washington to that side to bump Jones to the wing and clear out that side for Kyrie to ISO on another great defender in Derek White. This easily could have been a kick to a one more pass and an open corner 3, but Kyrie continues to look for his shot and has only hit 35% of them in the finals. While we have to give credit to the Celtics defenders for causing Kyrie to struggle as much as he has, it's also on Kyrie for just playing lousy overall. They finally get their 2 top corner shooters all set to go. Kyrie gets into the lane on Pritchard, but he doesn't quite have an advantage and blows the layup rather than kick to either corner for an open 3. Again, Kyrie gets a high pick and roll with KP able to hover on the block guarding Jones Jr. Now, when Lively gets to that area, KP can switch onto him and they're matched up well, with no way to skip to the corner when a dunker spot is filled by Lively, and White hovering just close enough to the drive, but also in good position to close out to the corner if need be. But Kyrie continues to force early ISO shots instead of getting the ball moving. This alignment continued to stymie the offense as Porzingis is on Jones Jr. in the corner, and I like that they resisted the urge to bring him up in the pick and roll, and they had their chance to attack White with Luka, but Kyrie continues his poor play. It's just not an advantage to isolate like this against Drew Holiday. Interestingly, Holiday is taking away the baseline to force towards the middle, but is terrific in recovering with his chest to put maximum pressure on the ball. Now the clock is winding down in its stagnant set, and Luka tries to make something happen. Hard to imagine the refs could miss fouls on both Brown and White, but the slot is blocked by Washington, and Brothers is, well, Brothers, leading to Luka shooting it thinking the whistle will come. And it was maddening to see Kyrie continue to double down on this bad play. Horford is guarding Jones Jr. in the corner. They run an ill-advised ball screen to the right while Luka is standing on the wing in the way. And I just don't get the decision to take this shot down 11 with 3:48 left in the game. It took them till the end of the second game to finally uncork this beauty, a Spain pick and roll where PJ Washington comes up to backscreen the ball screener's man. Instead of Gafford or Lively, they have Kleba in, who is a good enough shooter to draw Tatum out of the lane, but not good enough for him to fall asleep like this. Of course, Jones Jr. traveled. On the catch, both feet are off the floor, so first to touch is the pivot. It slides for a travel, but then he gets fouled by Brown with the push in the shoulder, which caused him to travel again. So I imagine the ref decided to let these two things cancel each other out and play on. It gets concerning as a coach when a play that works so well gets torpedoed soon after by Kyrie, especially after how poorly the last ISO went. And this time, Tatum makes an excellent play to reach around and poke the ball out for a turnover. Another answer the Mavericks must look to is simply letting their 5 ball screen for Luka and let him attack Jason Tatum. From what I've seen so far, Tatum cannot keep Luka from getting right to the basket whenever he wants for easy shots. This would allow Jones Jr. to spot up in the corner and lure Horford and Porzingis to help on those drives, which would ultimately open up corner threes again. Not only would this potentially force Mazzulla to change the matchups, it could get Tatum into foul trouble. Even though he's not shooting great, Tatum has to be playing his regular rotation for Boston to compete. Another key for the Mavericks is to set the ball screen for Luka with Horford/KP's man as high as possible. They've gotten great looks as Luka comes down the court fast enough to force a switch, and it puts the Celtics defense in some bad positions, and don't think Jones Jr. isn't a lob threat off his ball screens. These are the plays where they're getting the switch they want with Horford on a Luka, and you can see how much gravity he has to draw other defenders out of position. Even when Drew was able to recover, Luka somehow found his balance quickly enough to let this three go and put it in the basket. And if they go fast enough on these, you can catch Horford having to guard the center, which means Lively pulls Brown out of the way on his roll, and Luka can abuse Horford one more time to the basket. Teams that go up 2-0 are almost guaranteed to win this series, so it just feels like Game 2 was the Mavericks' big chance that they didn't seize when Boston went on a cold streak from behind the arc. I doubt the Celtics missed 29 of their first 34 threes again, but I hope we get some better officiating going forward as well. This one was crucial after the blocked Tatum layup. They could have cut it to 3 or maybe even 2 as PJ Washington goes up for the dunk. The contact of the hand is legal because the hand is part of the ball in this scenario, but what they missed was Brown putting his hand on the back of Washington and applying pressure. Call it a push, call it leverage, whatever it is, you can see there's enough pressure at this critical moment of PJ's jump that even his jersey is ruffled, and there's no other way to explain that he did not get high enough to dunk this ball absent significant and illegal contact by Brown. The refs missed this one, and it was costly. The hand on the ball is similar to a challenge the Mavericks made earlier in the game when it looked like PJ also made contact with the hand while he was on the ball. However, this call was strangely upheld by a confusing explanation.
Challenge unsuccessful by Jason Kidd. Watch here. PJ Washington smacks the hand, which is part of the ball, but it comes loose, this according to Tony Brothers, and then part of the wrist hit as well.
When a defender makes legal contact with the shooter's hand and then pulls the hand off the ball, it's supposed to be deemed a legal play. No one is sure how Brothers got to this conclusion. There were a number of other strange calls throughout the game as well. So if the Mavericks have any hope of getting back into the series, they'd better study this film and actually run the things I outlined way more than they have so far. Otherwise, we're going to be hanging yet another banner in the rafters of the Garden.